Good morning, it's 9 minutes past 10. You're listening to Nehal live on the BBC Asian Network with the leader of the English Defence League, Tommy Robinson, sitting right in front of me. Good morning, Tommy.
Good morning.
We've got lots of people lining up to speak to you, but please join this conversation. Questions that you would like to ask Tommy, 08459 440 445 is the number. Let's start with Samir in Buckinghamshire. Good morning, Samir.
Morning.
What would you like to ask Tommy Robinson?
I'd like to ask Tommy that the unfortunate death of Lee Rigby happened a couple of weeks ago, and his family specifically said that they did not want his death exploited, and they've also gone on to the fact that Help for Heroes have also specifically said that they do not want exploitation of his death, and they've actually rejected money from the EDL. Does Tommy feel ashamed of going against Lee Rigby's family's wishes?
Well, people could try and lie and twist what Lee Rigby's family asked for. What they asked for, that if people wish to pay respects, they must pay their respects peacefully. That's what they asked for. They didn't ask... that's what their words were. Now,
it's not very peaceful to turn up in Woolwich with loads of men with balaclavas on, is it?
The family made the statement 2 weeks after his death, yeah? And at the time they made the statement, we were organising 60 peaceful walks for Lee across the country. We had them in every town.
And you could assure that they'd be peaceful, because the first one didn't look very peaceful, did it?
Actually, out of the 60, 57 of them were completely peaceful. The only ones that weren't were where the UAF and Muslims had turned up in Sheffield, and there's videos online that you can watch where they get the flowers.
They didn't look very peaceful in Woolwich, though, Tommy, did they?
No, we're talking about when the family... the questions that he's asked is specifically what the family have asked.
But the family had to ask it, did they not? Because the fact was that the family saw that this was, or certainly had the potential to get out of hand because of members of your organisation.
No, people wishing to pay their respects, they just asked if they could be paid.
In balaclavas?
They asked if they could be paid peacefully. And if they were paid peacefully, which is what we were attempting to do in across the country, and the UAF come out and attacked us, and Muslims come out and attacked us in 3 different cities. 57 of them went completely peaceful. Our one in Luton, we walked straight through the town, laid our flowers, paid our respects. There was actually some Muslim lads. Our Ipswich division joined up with the local Muslim charity, Jamas, and they walked together and laid flowers in respect. So when they're asking, the only people who defied their orders for the peaceful to pay their respects peacefully were the UAF and members of the Muslim community trying to attack people.
But Samir's point also is that Help for Heroes didn't want a penny of the money that you were trying to raise for them. How did that make you feel?
Well, I've got a friend that's lost his legs in this conflict. I've got another friend that's died in this conflict. So I was upset by it, of course. And to be honest, I think...
Why do you think they didn't want your money, that they felt that your money was tainted?
Because political correctness has got to the top of the root of this country. It's ruling this country. Everyone's so scared of political correctness for fear of being called a racist. Now, when I was doing this walk, which I'm doing on the...
I will bring you back in a minute.
Which I am doing on the 29th of this month, I wasn't doing it as the English Defence League. I was saying I'm walking from Westminster to Woolwich. I'm walking 17 miles on my own.
So you can be disassociated from the English Defence League when you want. You can switch your membership on and off when you wish to.
I don't need the membership. It's not a march. It's just me. I am also a person. I wanted to walk, which I am walking, to raise money. And what I find disappointing is after that, an acting army sergeant stepped forward and said he'd do the work. And then, bang, MOD come down on him as well. Everyone's just trying to suppress and smash it. Okay, which is wrong.
Okay, let's bring Samir back in. Samir?
Yeah, I was just going to say, can I actually ask what the point of these marches were after the death of Lee Rigby? Because every single Muslim I know, and perhaps hundreds of thousands in the media, Muslims came out and said they were horrified by the death of Lee Rigby. I don't think there is a Muslim who's sane who will say that Lee Rigby's death was justified.
Well, actually, there is. There's videos on YouTube of Muslims driving past outside the spot where he was killed in Woolwich, laughing, making jokes and saying that it's good that he died. There's many videos of Muslims online saying he deserved to die, and it's good that he died. So it's not every single Muslim, and of course not all Muslims feel that way. But what was the point in the marches? They weren't marches about Islam. We weren't talking about Islam. What they were members of our community. The same way, let's turn the table and say 2 soldiers beheaded an innocent Muslim on our streets. The same way the Muslim community would want to pay their respects and have a day of mourning or a day of peace where they lay flowers and remember that person.
But that's not what we saw in Woolwich.
No, you're not talking about Woolwich. He's talking about the marches.
Yes, but I'm talking about the first meeting that you had. So the one that was most symbolic, Tommy. completely messed up.
No,
it was a complete. If you're talking about PR, if you're thinking about the marketing and the image of the EDL, it showed the world that there was a bunch of thugs in balaclavas trying to have a tear up with the police.
Well, no, actually, if I can explain to you what happened that day. Yeah, that was my son's birthday, so I was sitting at home. I had all my family round, and I saw this on the news as it developed. And I got up and I left my son because I felt so angry at what had happened. I felt emotional. I felt upset, and I wanted to show.
So you're admitting you were going to a march with anger in your soul, anger in your heart.
If I explain what happened, yeah. Then on the way down there, we start getting told that there's Muslims shouting Allah Akbar. My phone was going mad. It's all over the internet. There's groups of Muslims out on the streets of Woolwich. By the time we got there,
so you went there for war?
No, I went there to pay solidarity. I went there to show support for the armed forces. But when we did get there, then the rumour.
Go to Wootton Bassett.
The rumour to Wootton Bassett.
Go to an army base. If you want to show solidarity, don't go to an area where you know is so sensitive.
Why is it sensitive? What sort of Muslim comes out on the street screaming Allah Akbar after one of our soldiers has just been beheaded?
The kind of Muslim that the majority of the Muslim community despise.
So why didn't they come out and confront them?
Did that really happen?
Yes, it did happen. Yes, it did. I was there. So,
Samir, if you're willing to admit that it did happen, Samir, then Tommy's point about what was the Muslim community doing, but actually, Tommy, you know as well as I do that Muslim organisations were as quick as you can imagine to come out and absolutely condemn. There was no ambiguity about that. OK, there was a few nut jobs, but then, of course, there are nut jobs in every religion. Anders Breivik was a Christian. He followed your ideology, or he certainly thought he did. He certainly liked your ideology, but not everybody is.
Anders Breivik actually said that we're naive fools, and his words in his manifesto.
Okay.
His words in his manifesto.
Anders Breivik was a Christian.
Cannot be reconciled.
Right? Would you accept that Anders Breivik was a Christian?
I don't know. No.
Well, he did.
What did he do in the name of the Bible then?
But yet again,
did he use Christian scripture?
When he went to court, he talked about Christian crusade. He talked about this. Now, the fact that he's doing that, all the Muslims listen doesn't suddenly think every Christian is a gun-wielding nutjob who's going to walk onto an island and slaughter loads of teenagers.
I don't think every Muslim's a gun-wielding nutjob. I don't think every Muslim wants to plant.
Okay, well, let's listen to a clip of something that you've actually said in the past.
Yep. As I've said, we are here today to tell you quite loud, quite clear, every single Muslim watching this video on YouTube. On 7/7, you got away with killing and maiming British citizens. You got away with it. Next time you think about it, you better understand that we have built a network from one end of this country to the other end. We will not tolerate it, and the Islamic community will feel the full force of the English Defence League if we see any of our citizens killed, maimed or hurt on British soil ever again.
Now, I don't know. I've been in a lot of clubs over the years. My hearing may not be that great anymore. But I didn't hear you separating Islamic extremists from the Muslim community or Muslims when you made that speech. You said Muslims... Yep. Committed 7/7. You said...
Oh, it was Muslims, yeah.
Yeah, OK, but you didn't say Muslim extremists,
no, but they were
did you?
Muslims.
And there is a difference. And you just said on this show some moments ago that you don't blame all Muslims, and yet in that speech, that's exactly how that came across to your cheering fans.
In that speech, I'm explaining, and we are a pressure group. We want to put pressure on the Islamic community. The Muslim community of this country have not done enough. They're not doing enough to tackle...
what do you want them to do?
Well, I don't want them to be hypocrites. In the same way that if I go set up a stall, say me, yeah, if I go set up a stall in Luton, English Defence League stall, I'll come under physical and violent attack. Yeah, that's what will happen. Yeah, why are these Islamists like Saiful Islam, like this Woolwich man, this Michael who done the killing in Woolwich? He had a stall in Woolwich every week. Yeah, these people are allowed on the streets promoting their hatred and their intolerance. They're not tackled at all.
Okay,
they're not tackled at all.
Okay, let's go to Sanjay in Leicester. Good morning, Sanjay.
They might speak out against them, like you just said. They come on the news and say we don't agree with it. Well, I'm sorry, it's not good enough.
Okay,
and it's not strong enough.
Let's speak to Sanjay. Sanjay, good morning.
How you doing? All right, Neil?
I'm good, mate. What would you like to say to Tommy?
Oh, I just want to say hello to Tommy. You all right, mate?
Yeah, how you doing?
All right, man. Yeah, I just want to say to you, I respect all you've done, and you're just keeping Britain British. There's nothing wrong with protecting your country. There's nothing wrong with anything you're doing, and wish you all the best for what you're doing, because there's nothing wrong that you're doing. You're just protecting your country to be British. That's simple.
Thank you. I've come on here as well to relay a lot of misconceptions as well about what we want, what we're saying we want. I get Muslims come on my Twitter every day saying you hate all Muslims, you want all Muslims to leave this country.
You just...
No, what I'm saying is...
grouped all Muslims together in what you just said.
Because I said they're Muslim killers. It's like people say, well, you say Muslim bomb us off our streets. Yes, we do want them off our streets. Just they are Muslim, and let's not hide behind the fact.
No one's
I
doing
don't
that.
suffer from political correctness, and I will not be bowed by political correctness.
It's not political correctness, is it, to say you cannot say that all Muslims...
I don't say it.
But you just did.
I didn't know. I warned all Muslims. I warned all Muslims in the country.
You warned all Muslims that we're coming for you, that we've got from one end of the country to the other, and if we see it again, we're coming for all Muslims. Now,
I didn't say we're coming for you. No, I didn't say we're coming for you. I didn't say we're coming for you.
After Woolwich, we did some phone-ins on this show, Tommy, and we had Muslim callers to this show saying, we are changing our lifestyles now. I am not letting my wife take public transport anymore. I'm driving her to work because I'm scared. Now, this is the kind of rhetoric that makes them scared.
Well, see, like you say, they're scared. This is where I get actually a little bit insulted, and I feel insulted for our soldiers' wives who are currently being told to be careful walking in their barracks. Do you not think our army wives are scared? Do you not think military people walking down the street in a Help for Heroes t-shirt are scared? Do you not think all the mothers who've got 11-year-old daughters who are living in towns and cities like Luton and Birmingham, Bradford and Oldham, where all these grooming gangs are out of control? Do you not think they're scared? One of our armed forces has had his head cut off. 52 people have been blown to pieces on the 7/7. Do you not think they're scared? You've got racist attacks going on across this country against non-Muslims, religious targeted attacks. Do you not think they're scared?
But why should all Muslims feel as though they have to apologise for these nut job extremists within their ranks, in the same way that the Muslim community does not ask all Christians to apologise for the acts of Anders Breivik?
They shouldn't have to apologise, but they do have to accept there is a real severe problem within the Islamist ideology that is not being tackled, that's spreading, and there's a two-tier system in this country. Every other community, whether it be Sikh, Hindu, Jewish, Christian, West Indian, Irish, all the other communities are treated with iron fists. The Islamic community is treated with kid gloves. For an example, I've brought in here with me, you talk about them being scared. My wife is terrified. When I got home last night, again, my wife is sitting there crying her eyes out.
Is this the same wife that was involved in a domestic incident with you yourself?
In 2001, yeah.
Where the police were called?
It wasn't a domestic incident.
That's how it was.
And it wasn't a police... No, see, that's where you're misreporting the facts of it again.
You assaulted a police officer, you ended up going to prison, the police officer was involved in a domestic incident between you and your partner?
No, I was walking outside my girlfriend's house, and she's my wife now. There was nothing... we was having a verbal argument. A man come out of his house in his shorts, who had a beer, and he assaulted me. But when he went on the floor, I kicked him when he went down. Even in court, if you read the transcripts from the court, he admitted he started it. But because I overstepped self-defence when he went on the floor. Now, because he was a police officer, I got sentenced. My first ever offence. Now, that is irrelevant to what we're talking about. It's irrelevant to my wife. My wife is a mother of three. She's a beautiful girl. Now, listen to this. This is what I have to put up with. I see you in Luton all the time. Watch your back.
Don't swear.
I'm coming for you and your wife and your kids, right? I've got loads I'm going to kill your mum and light your house on fire, you white prick.
Look, I've looked, you know, just watch
I went to the police with this, which it says it's from Little Hammer. I've got all his profile, all who he is here. I'm going to chop your kids up, yeah? I went to the police. They won't do anything about this. Someone says boo to Salma Yaqub, they get their door kicked off. I'm going to burn you alive. You
and I both know. Have you seen the hate that is under some of the YouTube clips that feature you from presumably people who support everything that you stand for towards the Muslim community? You have been standing next to a man who has used black and then the C word next to it.
See, that's a lie as well.
That crowd cheered. And that you didn't do anything to stop him from saying that. It's on YouTube. It's there.
It's not. Is there a YouTube?
Someone doctor it?
Is there a YouTube video that shows the person who said its face saying it? If there's not,
so a soundtrack was put over it, was it? Did they put a laughter soundtrack over it? They put soundtracks over me.
Some of the things have got me saying on there, which are not me.
So that was never said?
No, it wasn't.
So, okay, if you were standing next to someone who said that, what would you do?
Well, when I've actually, one of my arrests was for a Blackburn demonstration, which was for, in our early days, we had Combat 18, we had the National Front. And
this is where you punch someone who had a Nazi salute, you say?
Yeah. And I'll do it again.
Okay.
And I'm not bound by political correctness. I'm not a politician. I don't have to mix my words. I will smack a Nazi in the face, but that's what I will do to extremists in my community that differentiate between people for the colour of their skin. And when people talk about us,
what about
racist,
the difference of their faith?
What do you mean?
Would you stick up for Muslims who are being beaten up?
Of course I would, yeah.
Well, let's speak to one. Ali in Glasgow. Good morning, Ali.
Good morning, Nihal. Good morning, Tommy.
Good morning.
What would you like to ask Tommy?
Which is your real name. I just wanted to ask...
Well, you can call him Stephen Lennon if you want, or Paul Harris, I believe, on an American passport.
Or Andy McMaster.
Andy McMaster. Choose one. Choose one.
I just wanted to ask Tommy... Tommy's very quick to ask Muslims to condemn other Muslims. But, at the same time, Can I ask Tommy, can he condemn the atrocities that the British and American soldiers have committed on innocent Iraqis and Afghanis? What about the families of Ba Musa, who died of 90 separate injuries, and the American soldier who last week was in court for killing an entire 2-3 Afghan families? Now, he's very quick to condemn Muslims, but can he also condemn the human rights abuses?
Of course I can. The Iraq war, the Afghanistan war, are completely unjust. As this has always been my opinion, always been my view. Tony Blair's a war criminal. It's disgraceful what's happening over there. It has been disgraceful.
So you understand the anger of Muslims?
Yeah, of course I understand. Of course I understand. If I was, I'd be fighting against British forces if I was in that country.
So when you were angry about what you saw happen in Woolwich, you can then understand the depth of anger that Muslims in this country feel, because I'm sure you're aware of the concept of the Ummah, which connects Muslims together, and
it connects them together when they want it connected together, because Shia, Sunni, they're at war.
You can understand why they feel so angry about what they're seeing. Hundreds of thousands dead in Iraq.
Yeah. Well, in Nigeria, last Christmas, there was 5 churches, Catholic church, I'm Catholic, 5 Catholic churches blown up, 600 people killed, by Muslims. In Egypt, every single week, Christians have been persecuted.
In Burma, Buddhists attacking Muslims.
Can I finish what I'm saying? Right, Christians are being murdered, massacred. Wherever they're a minority, Christians, Hindus, Sikhs, wherever they're a minority in the Islamic countries, they're persecuted. Even certain sects of Islam are persecuted. So, as angry as they are, I'm that angry. I feel for my Christian brother in Nigeria, for my Christian brother in Egypt, who's persecuted.
Your Christian brother Anders Breivik?
No, but see, I think that's quite weak to throw that in when we're having this discussion about certain things. Like, I do understand Muslims' anger, but I'm angry. But no Christians in this country are going out and killing Muslims because of it, or attacking imams because of it.
Not yet.
What do you mean, not yet?
Not yet. But we
don't ever want to get there, do we? We don't ever want to get there.
But do you know what, mate? To some people, we are already there.
Well,
women having their hijabs ripped off in the street, people being called the P word. You yourself have used the P word before, haven't you?
No, I haven't. Never.
You've never used
it? Never, ever. So 4 years has been going on. I've never, ever used it once. There's no camera footage of me using it. There's no evidence of me using it. So to even throw that in again, when you say women having their hijabs ripped off, I'm yet to see it. I've seen a bit.
Well, how would you? Do you want to get every woman in a hijab together and monitor them?
I want to see one instant of it happening, like I've seen this weekend.
So you base your entire life on the fact that if you haven't seen something, it hasn't happened.
No, if you go on YouTube, put in Ashton, kids under attack. Go on YouTube this weekend on Sunday. 8 boys and girls, young English boys and girls, are waiting at a bus stop, 13 years old. They're approached by a group of Muslims, all on camera. This is this weekend. They're beaten with cricket bats, whilst all you can hear is the terrifying screams of the girls. Now, if you tell me...
And which verses of the Quran are they quoting while they're doing that? So why are they not just young thug criminals?
Because they're told, get out of the Muslim area. The police are involved, you can check it all out, they're told, get out of the Muslim area, they're attacked. Now, could you imagine the fallout if there was a couple of girls with hijabs on that are 13 years old, and they were sitting at a bus stop, and a group of English men come over, because these were not young 13-year-old Muslims, these are men that have come over and attacked them and beat them. This would be, David Cameron would be talking about it, you'd be talking about it, everyone would be talking about it. In the last week, you've had a 53-year-old English man who's been battered senseless by a group of Muslims in Oldham. You've had an attack in Blackburn, an attack in Bolton. So when we talk about hate crime...
Why are they Muslim criminals and not just criminals?
Because they're saying get out of a Muslim area.
Okay,
it's not to do with criminality. They didn't come over and mug them.
Just an interesting point to work with. In an Asian Network documentary, you used the P word before.
I didn't.
We've got it on record, mate.
Well, I've never seen it, so can you provide me with it?
Okay, if we can try and get a recording of it but before the end of the show, we will try and get one for you. Let's try and track that down just to remind you of it. Let's speak to Abdul in Luton. Good morning, Abdul.
Good morning, Neil. Good morning, Tommy.
Your hometown. Abdul, have you and Tommy's paths ever crossed before on the streets of Luton?
Really, I work too much to get involved in that stuff. But anyway, what I want to say is, I was on a message to your last caller, actually, Sanjay. I think Sanjay should look at himself in the mirror and slap himself, but that's another conversation.
Okay. Because he has a difference of opinion to you, he should slap himself.
Secondly, EDL, I think they get too much airtime for what is relatively a very small and kind of like irrelevant.
But no. Well, you say irrelevant, Abdul, but that's exactly the kind of issue that perhaps Tommy has with the Muslim community, in that if there is extremism in any community, we have to find it and we have to root it out, don't we, Abdul?
And I agree 100%.
Abdul,
as he's talking about Anjem Choudhury's group.
I'm not talking about Anjem Choudhury's group.
Tommy's group. So, you know, the guys you're talking about, the stall in Luton, yeah?
Yes.
They're a very small group, and they are persecuted by the local community.
No, they're not.
We can only do so much.
Abdul, what have you done to persecute the people who spread hate from within the Muslim community?
They're outside college every Friday now.
Abdul, what have you or any of your friends done?
Yes, I will tell you. My friends are the business owners in Bury Park, where the stalls are. They've been out there. On YouTube, you can find a video of them trying to move their stall. The police...
Only because your mosque got blown up.
Yeah?
Only because your mosque got blown up.
So, Tommy, when Muslims are making... As Abdul is pointing out, the opportunity, they are saying we are challenging these people. Then you say that they're doing it just because...
You have to remember that I'm from Luton, yeah? Abdul.
As indeed is Abdul.
When you're talking about people being scared as well, Abdul, we had 4 local Muslims. One lived 2 doors up from my auntie. The other one lived next door to my best mate, who were just jailed recently for planning to blow up the Territorial Army in the town. So we're scared. You know, when you talk about people that are scared.
And just right. You know, that's right.
Yeah, but then we had the fertiliser bomber. Then we had the Stockholm. That Stockholm bomber. He come to Luton as an innocent Muslim.
Okay.
He was radicalised on the streets of our town by that group. He was radicalised.
I'll let Abdul come back in. Abdul.
Yeah, okay, that's fine. And I agree. Look, what you're doing is you're concentrating on a community. Can we just call them people that don't abide by the law?
What do you think of Luton Islamic Centre?
Just like...
what do you think of the Luton Islamic Centre?
The Luton Islamic Centre, they're great people doing good work in the community.
So when you go on their website, and it says that they should execute homosexuals, what do you think of that?
So let me just carry on.
Well, and it gives a 12-page statement as to why a woman should be lashed.
Let Abdul finish, and then he can come back and answer those points. Although it's unfair for him to. Maybe someone from the Islamic Centre in Luton should call in and give their side of that argument. And we'll check here on our website about that Islamic Centre and say if they do indeed say that. Abdul?
Yeah. What I can say about the Islamic Centre is I'm a serving firefighter in Bedfordshire, and the Islamic Centre worked with the fire service to tackle arson and all sorts of crime regarding fire in the white community, in the Asian community, in the Muslim community, and have helped cohesion and produced the interfaith football tournament, which is every year, which brings together Sikhs, Hindus, Muslims, Christians, and people of all faiths in one match.
Would you regard yourself as a committed Christian? As a Christian, would you regard yourself as Christian?
I commit sins.
Well, let he who is without sin cast the first stone. But I mean, if you consider yourself a Christian,
I'll go to church,
then you should be against homosexuality as well, shouldn't you?
There's a difference between being against it and wanting.
So you are against homosexuality? I'm not against it.
No, my cousin's gay. Actually, I feel strongly about homosexual people's rights and their freedoms. I'm actually for gay marriage, which again is misconceptions of what people believe.
Abdul, what about Tommy's points about the Islamic Centre in Luton?
I'll tell you what, Abdul, do us a favour. You know Freshers' Week this year, when all those extremist sects are on campus in Luton trying to radicalise the young, vulnerable people when they're away from home for the first time in their life, when they're weak, will you and the rest of the Islamic community from Luton come out and confront them? Because if you do, you'll be hailed as heroic moderates. But when we do, because if you don't, we'll be hailed as racist thugs who are stirring up trouble again for not wanting another Stockholm bomber, because he was radicalised on the university campus, and not enough is been doing to tackle the Islamist ideology. And that Salafi sects and Saudi sects across our town. Our town's plagued, and by pretending there's not a problem is adding to the problem. And at the same time, if you know anyone who knows me from Luton, I've got loads of Muslim mates from Luton. I'm born and bred in the town.
Fine, I know loads of black people. I'm not racist. Okay, right.
No, that's the most pathetic thing to say again.
Anyway.
Okay, Abdul, let's move it on, my friend. Thank you very much indeed. Abdul. Lots of texts and emails coming in. Tony from London said, wondering if EDL has a code of conduct for their members, wondering if they're members. You don't have membership cards or anything like that, do you?
No, we don't. You know,
I see you've got jackets with embroidery on it, so you've gone somewhere.
Because when you say code of conduct,
and have you made much money out of the merchandise?
No, we don't sell any merchandise anymore. We haven't sold it for a year.
So these reports that you made £160,000 and there was a big tear up.
Where's that report come from?
Oh, I just read that online.
So not a report. You mean
must have been
another line. Put a little thing on Twitter or something.
Tony from London said, wondering if their members know what is right and what is wrong when demonstrating. Saw the one in Whitehall and they were behaving in a provocative way, which raises the question if they protest to make the point of their views or they have other reasons to create instability.
What provocative way is that?
Roger said, like many, I used to accept the media portrayal of the EDL as far-right racist thugs and gave them no thought. Since the murder of Lee Rigby and the continuing demonisation of the EDL, I've been looking at them a lot closer. What concerns me is that no one in authority in the UK is dealing with the legitimate concerns of the vast majority of people of all races and religions. They dance around the subject in the current jargon. They kick the can down the road. The EDL are expressing those concerns and will grow in strength until those concerns are addressed. Let's speak to Sabia Pervez in Bradford. Sabia, what would you like to ask Tommy Robinson?
Good morning, Tommy.
Good morning.
I want to ask you, there's a claim that Islamophobia is akin to anti-Semitism. And the reason why I ask you that is because you continuously claim that you're not a racist, which you are, but nevertheless...
How am I racist, please? No, please, you just said I am a racist on live on radio. Can you please tell me how I'm racist?
Wait, let me finish.
Well, you're not going to tell me I'm racist, then, are you? Just another one.
Wait,
with your claims is because Islamophobia is not legally recognised. For example, if you say something against Jews, you can be taken to court for saying something anti-Semitic. But if you say something against Muslims...
You've got the Inciting Religious Hatred Act. You've got the Inciting Religious Hatred Act. It is enshrined in law.
It doesn't protect Muslims. I don't mind.
Yes, it does.
I know
yes,
what I'm talking about. Okay, I know.
But you don't, do you?
The only people that it protects, the only religion that it protects, is Muslims, Jews, Jews, Sikhs, and Hindus.
Don't be so silly.
Sabia, why would it not protect?
So
why would it not protect Muslims?
Victim.
Why in the court of law would it say, Sabia? What court of law? What judge? What lawyer would actually say?
It was actually created to protect Muslims. That's the reason why it's there.
Yeah.
Well, we don't know about that, but I mean, Sabia.
The reason why you can, Nihal, I've studied this. I did it for my dissertation. The reason why Islamophobia is not recognised is because it's not.
No, but hate. He's talking about hate. Hate crimes.
Hate crimes
speech.
against Muslims, inciting religious hatred. It's all there.
Hate crimes are Islamophobic.
No. What you're getting mixed up with.
Yeah, it's not recognised.
Please,
okay.
Are we going to come back to the point
Are you
racist?
Islamophobic?
No, listen. There is an I've said it the other day. There is Islamophobia in this country. Yeah.
Are you part of it?
No, listen. Okay, there is Islamophobia in this country, and what it is, when the police force are failing to tackle grooming gangs through fear of being called a racist, that's Islamophobia.
Well, we've just seen loads of grooming gangs go to prison, so police are clearly dealing with it.
Yesterday, in yesterday's paper, 20,000 girls are at risk of female genital mutilation, and they're not dealing with it through cultural sensitivity. That's Islamophobia. Now, a phobia is an irrational fear. Now this word, because you like to call us racist, to stop the debate and to stop all these issues being aired.
Okay, well, let's forget the racist word. Let's go with the Islamophobic word.
We will deal with the Islamophobia thing.
Women having their hijabs ripped off in the street. You haven't seen.
This young lady's come on the radio. She said I'm racist. So I'd like to ask her, how am I racist?
How are you not racist?
Tell me what I've said that's racist.
Sabia, don't answer a question with a question. Give me an example of why you think Tommy Robinson is a racist, Sabia.
Okay, let's talk about the grooming case.
Why am I racist? Why am I racist?
Grooming.
Please tell me how I'm racist.
Okay, Sabia, all right, let's move on from that.
Sabia can't answer the question.
Let's move on from that. Let's give this example you want to talk about, Sabia, of the grooming case. Go on.
Okay, he's talking about the grooming case and that everyone's too scared to say that, it's Muslim men or Pakistani men who are doing it. I think it was 2 weeks ago we came together and we launched a case, and the police were there, the council were there, and the Muslim community condemned everything that goes on. It's a minority of people, right? Just like when Jimmy...
Well, what do you want them to do?
No, listen, 85% of convictions, 85% of convictions for grooming are Muslim men. 85%, yet 5% of the country's Muslim. Now,
does Jimmy Savile make all white people a paedophile?
No, if you listen, 85% of Muslim men convictions are Muslim men.
The vast majority of paedophiles are white men. What does that mean?
Not grooming.
What does that mean?
It means that 95% of this country is white. Of course, the majority are going to be white. What I'm saying is,
what should that tell brown people about white men then?
There was equal to be paedophilic as everyone else.
But you're quite happy to look at Islam being a foundation of child grooming gangs. Yes. Tell me a verse in the Quran that says thou must go out.
A verse in the Quran that says outside of your 4 wives, you can take anything that your right arm possesses. The arm of the sword, al-harab. Some Muslims in this country view this country as al-harab, the house of war. When at war, they can take non-Muslim girls as sexual slaves. Then when we talk about what...
Do you not just think that these were sexually repressed criminals,
yes,
anything to do with Islam?
Possibly, but do we not have to explore the fact, and do we not have to.
You have Muslim friends. You had Muslim people at your wedding, right?
Yeah.
You had Muslim people at your christening.
Yes.
Why? Because if you believe that their ideology underpins a paedophile child grooming, then surely you would be in concern of your children, not allow Muslims anywhere near them.
So I'd think every single Muslim is going to be a paedophile.
But you're asking every Muslim to condemn it as if it's all Muslims.
What I'm asking is, surely we've got to ask ourselves why 85% of the convictions are Muslim men and 5% of this country's Muslim men. Is someone not asking the question, and it's highlighting a big beacon here? What is the problem? Why is this going on from one end of the country to the other? And people are talking about these girls like they're statistics. Give me one case where one young Muslim girl has been groomed and sexually abused by 10 non-Muslim men. Give me one case. This is happening. Sikh Awareness are doing great work for the Sikh community. Their girls are being pimped. There was leaflets given out in Luton telling Muslims to target Sikh girls. It's happening to their kids. It's happening to our kids. And I'm sorry, but if it was happening to one Muslim girl, there'd be outrage. Everyone would be they'd be on the streets.
We don't know how many Muslim girls were.
There's none.
Abused by those very same people that were grooming.
There's not been one. There's not been one arrest.
That may be to do with cultural issues.
So that's
within
cultural
the community.
Issues that we don't want to step on.
No, it's not. We don't want to step on them. We want to find criminals wherever they exist.
So if there are Muslim girls in those communities being groomed and raped, they're not being tackled because of cultural sensitivity. We allowed the systematic rape and grooming of a whole generation of youth due to cultural sensitivity.
Okay, we've got 20 minutes left. Let's speak to Syra in Cheshire. Good morning, Syra.
Hiya, I'll just make it quick. I've just got a few points. First of all, Stephen, Tommy, whoever, is going on about
Andrew.
Grooming, right? Tommy, were you not outed as a child sex pest recently?
Oh, get a grip. Coming on the radio with that pathetic stuff.
To a 15-year-old, you're quite sick.
Screenshots you're putting up on Twitter, awful.
No, yeah.
Awful.
You said to a 15-year-old that you're quite...
She was 21, and then you're just talking nonsense. You're talking nonsense.
And started calling her scum instead of apologising.
What are you going on about?
Well, if you listen to her, you might hear
But she's lying. She's coming on the
talking
radio.
over and then asking her what she's saying.
Because she's lying.
Okay, all right. Syra, have you got any other question you'd like to ask Tommy?
Another point. You want to ban burqas, you want to ban hijabs and everything.
I want to ban all face coverings.
Yeah, so why do you go out wearing balaclavas?
Well, I'll tell you why, because unfortunately, as I've just got here, all these death threats, unfortunately, I've had attempts on my life, I've had my cousin has, unfortunately, this week... Excuse me, love, I'm talking... sorry, but this week, 6 Muslim men were jailed for having bombs, guns and wanting to murder us. The police have actually sat me down, they've sat my wife down, they've told us we need to leave Luton, not come back into the town. All these different death threats that you get as soon as you speak out against Islam. Everyone across the world's always got them. Anyone that criticises the Islamic ideology, they try to kill.
So you're telling me the whole of the EDM?
Excuse me, I'm trying to talk. Some of my members...
Sorry, one second.
Some of my members, for example, I know members that work in BBC. Yeah, when they come on that demonstration, do you think it's free for them to have their face uncovered? Do you think they feel free to do that, or do you think that if someone lives it, say one of my friends that lives in Bury Park that wants to express their opposition to the Islamist ideology, do you think they feel free doing it? And that's the sad state of affairs in this country, that we don't have a free democracy, we don't have true freedom of speech. You have the unions, you have the universities sending out to all their students saying if you're on an English Defence League demonstration, you'll be kicked off your course. That's not democracy.
That's because, of course, you have failed to root out extremism in the EDL in the same way that you ask the Muslim community to root out extremism.
We have rooted out extremism.
Really?
But I don't class someone who criticises the Islamist ideology. I don't class someone who's angry at...
What about someone who used the P word, someone who used the N word?
But people don't use the N word anyway, but on our demonstrations. But anyone who uses the P word, I would root them out.
C word?
I would. We have loads of black people on our demonstrations.
Okay, well,
my goddaughter's black, my niece is black. You know what I mean?
Let's speak to Sonny in Birmingham.
Kev,
good morning, Sonny.
Out there, his daughter's black.
Sonny?
Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning, Nihal. Okay, so just got about 5 points, and I'll be as succinct as I can.
Please do.
Got other callers. Okay, first of all, I'm not a Muslim, by the way. Stefan Lennon has absolutely no right to portray Muslim communities in a negative attitude.
I have the right to portray Islam in a negative attitude, actually.
Hold on.
God-given right.
You've got no right to portray Muslims and Islam in a negative light when you yourself have a criminal record and you've been apprehended by the police 2 years ago for leading a band of Luton Town football hooligans, and according to the police...
You're hardly a role model for debate, for seasoned debate in that respect, looking at your past,
How sad is it that an ex-con has become the vocal voice of the working class community in this country, and that everyone wants, every media outlet
but
wants
an ex-con
how sad is it
with convictions for violence?
No, how sad is it? No, actually, my conviction at Luton, what this man's talking about, was I was convicted
assaulting an off-duty police officer.
He's talking about not 10 years ago, when I was young.
That's fine then.
No, people make mistakes. I've made my mistakes. I live by them. I've done done things I'm not proud of. If you can sit there and say you've never done anything in your life you're not proud of, you're lying. We learn by our mistakes.
On a weekly basis, I could say.
I change and evolve the whole way through my life. Do you know what I mean? But at the same time, what he's talking about, I was convicted for swearing outside a Luton football stadium. Now, when I was arrested at the time, it was for something else they wanted to question me about. They didn't mention any swearing. When I went back after 12 weeks to answer bail, all of a sudden they said you were swearing, you were acting aggressively. There were so-called 100 people involved, no other arrests at all. When I got to court, they said I swore. I was convicted of public order. Then it became apparent why. Then they gave me a map with a perimeter with the whole Islamic area that I'm not allowed in on a Saturday afternoon for the next 3 years. So what? They've fitted me up because they can't police me going to a Luton football game.
All right,
Sonny, potential riot every Saturday.
Sonny, we're going to have to move this on. Imran in Newcastle. Good morning, Imran.
Hi, Nihal. Hi, Tommy. You all right?
I'm all right, mate. Yeah.
Tommy, I just want to ask: are you against halal meat?
I am. Yes. I'm against. I believe that halal meat must be labelled in this country.
Right. So, well, in most places it is. So
no, it's not actually. In Morrison's, in Tesco's, in Asda, it's not labelled. So when we go into Asda and
let Imran finish. Point made. Imran,
are you against it?
Well, I also believe I'm not against it if it's stunned. Yeah, I believe that.
It's not halal.
It's not halal when it's not stunned. So what is the need? You tell me what is the actual need to kill an animal in an inhumane way like that, instead of stunning it in year 2013?
Our religious belief says.
No, actually, your religious belief in your Quran actually says that when you're in a non-Islamic country, that you can eat the meat of the land if there's no other choice. That's what your Islamic.
But you have a choice.
Says.
And you've told Jews that you're also against kosher meat, do you?
But that's what the point I was going to get to. So, Tommy, why?
Well, kosher meat is a minority. Why is 20% of the meat in this country halal? Why is
Asda? So ritually slaughtered meat is fine as long as it's not Muslim ritually slaughtered meat.
Well, no, if it's
is that what you're saying?
No, what I'm saying is
double standards.
Well, no, that's not double standards. What it should be.
It is.
Why, when I walk into every restaurant in my local town centre, do I not have a non-halal option? Why am I having to eat halal? Why are my kids? Why are the kids school? Why are the kids school?
When you eat halal, what happens to you exactly?
Well, as a Christian, if it's blessed in another God's name. I don't want to eat a meat that's blessed in another God's name.
So okay,
a Muslim won't even eat something that's not been blessed in any other name. But we're expected to in Wembley Stadium, in Twickenham Stadium, even in the house.
No one's forcing it. That's up to the.
Well, no, I don't get an option, mate. You're missing the point. No one's giving me an option of non-halal. I don't care if I go in a restaurant and they say, actually, the first restaurant I went into, do you know it's called the Meat Company in
near here,
Westfield Shopping Centre.
Right.
Halal, non-halal menu. Perfect, no problem at all. But why, when we're going in places?
But you've asked for halal to be banned, haven't you?
I believe that it should be banned unless they stun.
But that's a difference from an option.
Unless they stun the animal. What you have to remember is 2 years ago we imported 5,000 Pakistani halal butchers into this country to keep up with the growing trend. Yeah, we don't need to import them people.
I saw you on a video say that 20% of funds from halal meat goes towards funding jihad.
Yes. Yeah.
Where did you get that from?
Where you got our statistics from, like?
Yeah, because
let Tommy answer that.
Freedom fighting, the governing body that they all have to pay a percentage of the money to. Some of the money siphoned off to fight jihad.
And money to Al Qaeda.
Yeah, we've done an article on it, mate. No, I didn't say Al Qaeda. I said freedom fighting. What you'd call freedom fighting.
So you've got documentary evidence from the people who administer halal meat in this country that they fund.
Yeah, there is documentary. You can go online and look at it.
I could go online and see that Elvis is still alive. Yeah. That doesn't mean it's true, does it?
So are you happy with eating halal?
Well, it doesn't make me suddenly want to cover my wife's hair or go and read the Quran.
So you're happy. So why should we have to eat halal?
Well, I don't have to.
Why? Yeah, but
there's plenty of places. You live
Asda,
in Luton.
It's not. If you go into Asda, it's not labelled. When I'm going in and buying my meat, it doesn't even tell me.
I'm sorry, but my local Asda has a halal section.
Yes, and the non-halal and the non-halal section's halal also. Why is that? Why is that? And in these arbitraries,
I'm not sure that's true.
It is true.
I'm not sure that's true.
It's factual. And in these arbitraries,
all right. Well, let's find out from the Asda website.
In these arbitraries that they're building for halal meat, only Muslims can work in them. Only Muslims can work in them. So they get 20% of this market now across this country is Muslim only. Apartheid is being reintroduced, even to the meat market. British butchers are being put out of their money across the country, and it
happened where I live. A British butcher was put out and that's exactly what he said. No, but that's exactly what he said.
Muslim only
on the street where I lived in London. But that's the economics of the area, Tommy.
No,
more Muslims moved in, more people wanted that, and that's what happened.
If that's fair,
that's globalisation.
So why is 20%? No, what it is that they don't have to stun the animal, and it's cheaper. So they have an advantage over the other industry, people in the industry. They're not going through the same health and safety things, they're just slitting its throat. That's why it's cheaper to produce
They
halloumi.
are subject to exactly the same health and
no,
safety
they're
as
not.
any other
No, they're not.
abattoirs.
They're not stunning them. They're not stunning them. It's cheaper.
Okay. All right, let's speak to Sarwar in Ipswich. Good morning, Sarwar.
Good morning, Nihal.
What would you like to ask Tommy Robinson?
I asked to ask Tony because I'm married in a Christian family, and from my wife's family, I never have any disrespect to myself or to my religion. When I go out for work on street, like people look at me, or like where I used to work, because I had to leave the job because they used to treat me bad, call me different names because I'm a Muslim person. So that also makes me feel like bad or make me angry. So
do you have a question, Sarwar?
Huh?
Okay, I'm not sure you have a question. Thank you. We haven't got time, unfortunately, to stay with you. Baz in Wolverhampton, what would you like to ask Tommy Robinson?
I'd just like to ask Tommy. You're right, Tommy. Good morning.
Yeah, morning, mate.
Just like to ask you that, as a British Asian, would I be safe, like if one of your marches was going on?
This is the misconception, man. It's like we have loads of Asians at our demonstrations. We've had people. We had a Pakistani who come and spoke. This is what people don't want to report. Spoke at Westminster.
Talking of Pakistani, we do have actually evidence of you using the P word, the abbreviated version of Pakistani, in a report for editorial reasons. Unfortunately, we can't show it, but we'll get a recording for you and we'll get it put up. I can put it up on my SoundCloud page if you want.
Yeah, please do that.
Okay,
please do that. Because that's news to me.
Okay,
yeah.
all right.
So I believe that's nonsense.
Let's bring it back to this. So, Baz, I think that's a very interesting point that Baz has made about Asians, all Asians. But then the problem is, because you haven't managed to root out extremism in your organisation,
how have we not?
You can't, because you've still got people turning up who are, surely, I mean, are you honestly saying that everyone that turns up to an EDL march, is a card-carrying, liberal Islamophobe?
Are you on an Islamophobe? Why are we creating this word? Why are we making up this word for people who wish to criticise an ideology? If we criticise Scientology,
because you said every single Muslim watching this, we have built a network from one end of this country to the other end. We will not tolerate it.
We've gone through this.
So you've threatened every single Muslim.
No, we've gone through this. Muslims need to wake up, yeah, in this country.
But you threatened every single Muslim. No wonder Baz is feeling a bit nervous.
Baz don't need to feel nervous.
Come in for a sec, please.
Yes, go on, Baz.
All I'm saying is, like, I don't believe that you're Islamophobia or whatever. I don't believe that you're Islamophobic or whatever. I mean, I believe that you're going for extremism, but if you saw a Sikh man walking down the road during one of your marches, how would you be able to tell a difference, or how would people in your group be able to tell the difference?
When we're walking on our marches, people are not just attacking anyone even if Muslims are walking past, they're not just getting attacked. Do you know what I mean? This is a misconception, a media misconception. Sikhs are at our demonstrations. Turban wearing Sikhs are at demonstrations.
A young turban Sikh boy was attacked, wasn't he, recently?
Who by?
Well, by people purporting to be against.
No, he wasn't.
Oh, okay.
That's again, you can't just have this on the radio and throw these lies.
No, I'm not. I wasn't. You didn't let me finish the sentence. I wasn't saying they were purporting to be from the EDL, but it was a racist attack on this young Sikh boy.
Yeah, where was that?
This happened.
Oh, not on the day of a demonstration.
No, it happened.
Oh, of course. Yeah, mate, look.
But this is even the climate.
Even with the English Defence League, yeah? There's racists in the English Defence League, yeah? It doesn't make it a racist organisation. There's golfers in the English Defence League. It's not a golf society.
You just said you'd rooted out the extremists.
We have rooted them out.
Well, then how are there still racists in the EDL?
Oh, come on, be realistic. There's racists in the BBC. Let's be realistic about it. I'm being realistic. I'm not going to sit here and say there's no racists in the EDL, but when they bare their head or we find them, we kick them out. If any of your listeners want to go on YouTube and put in RVF EDL, you'll see loads of Nazis threatening to murder and kill me. Do you know what I mean? Because of the stance I've took against them. Who else has burnt a SWAS flag? Who else can sit there and say, if you're against racism, what have you been taken to court for banging a Nazi out? I have. I take a tough stance against it.
Wasn't taken to court for it, but I have. Yeah. Anyway, let's not get myself into trouble. Let's speak to Az in Leicester. Good morning to you, Az.
Hello. How's it going?
It's good. What would you like to ask Tommy? And I've got 7 minutes left, so let's get to the point.
I'll try to be as quick as I can. Tommy, I agree with you that Muslims need to, stamp out extremists in their own organisation. Completely agree with you. We ourselves have made a documentary to try and do that. What I'm asking you, Tommy, is that I'd very much like to see you make a statement of some sort against all the extremist EDL members.
I've offered the Home Office to do it, mate. You know, when all this was kicking off, yeah, and people are saying Muslims live in fear, I said, you know what? Who better to get on the TV to say these things? Me. Yeah. It's about education. We're up for dialogue, yeah. I'm always up for talking, and the only way these problems get solved is through dialogue. But pretending there's not problems, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
Go on, Az.
This is the problem now. at the minute, things are escalating. There's loads of little incidents. I'm seeing it every day on Facebook, on Twitter. Every day there's some incident where either it's an EDL member attacking a Muslim or some Muslim extremists or, you know, a group of youth, a thuggish group of youth that the media might portray as Muslims attacking white people, and it's escalating. It's getting really out of hand, and I think this is a time now to really put an end to it.
Okay, stay there a second, Az. Sorry, Tommy. I just want to bring Billy in, because Billy in Manchester makes an interesting point following on from what Az has just said. Billy, what would you like to say to Tommy?
Elon, yeah, right. I'd like to say is that I'm a Muslim. I've been living here for all my life. I'm 21 years old, and I work with all types of race, religions. I don't care who they are, and I work to have a.
Can I get to the question, please, Billy?
I've got this feeling that we should all.
Yeah. Can I get to the question, please, Billy?
I just want to say, would you work with Muslims if they say that we want to kick out extremism?
Of course I would, man. People don't get this, man. When I'm in Luton Town Centre every day, I go and sit and chill out in Muslim businesses. People don't... This whole misconception, yeah, that somehow we just hate all Muslims and we're against all Muslims, and we're not, yeah? But at the same time, when you say work together, since this, Woolwich, and since the backlash, a so-called backlash that's going on across the country, we're seeing Muslims come out and now want to say we need to tackle it. I'm watching the big questions and for the first time seeing some Muslims imams stand up and say it's the mullahs, it's the madrasas, it's the mosque, it's this, it's that. They're actually getting off their arses, and excuse my French, and wanting to do something about it.
Please, I do apologise.
And that's what they need. That's what they need to do. It's not for us to determine what British Islam is. It's for you to do it. But you're not doing it by allowing these Saudi sects to come in and spread across the country. And 98% of the imams in this country don't speak English as a first language. Only in 7%.
And Muslims are concerned about this. Tommy, day in, day out, I do these discussions. Muslims are concerned about these things that you're concerned about.
So let's see them take to the streets.
But why should they have to take to the streets?
Because they take to the streets about everything else.
Take to the streets and having a tear up outside a pub in South London, like some of your followers.
No, when Muslims are planning to burn poppies or something, let's see other Muslims come out.
And the vast majority of Muslims hated the idea.
Well, if they hated the idea, yeah, we've seen 25,000 Muslims marching through Birmingham 3 months ago calling for blasphemy laws. Now, do you want freedom of speech or not? Are you a defender of freedom of speech, or do you want Islamic law? You have to show where you stand on these certain issues, and I'm sorry, but we just see the wrong side of it.
OK, all right, let's speak to Susan, who got in contact with us from Ealing in London. Susan, good morning.
Good morning. I believe Tommy is trying to incite race riots in this country, and all the good work that's happened in this country between different community groups, different minority groups. He's trying to instigate more tension within communities where people whiplash, where people react. And then
don't get it, do you? Actually, that's the last thing I want. But what you see, the way things are now, when there's 5% of this country's Muslim, yeah, and what's just happened recently, and all the tensions rising. What do you think it's going to be like in 20 years' time when we've got more terror attacks and this is going on? It's going to be civil unrest. We don't want riots. We want this problem solved. We want it tackled before the next generation have to pick up the pieces. It's going to end disastrously with the things that are going on in this country, and they're getting worse. Terrorist offences go up 60% every year for the last 10 years. Every single year, it's getting worse and worse. We spend 360 million on a prevent programme to stop extremism, and it ends up funding it. I mean, you don't get it, do you? It's going to end disastrously. We don't want that. I don't want to see innocent people getting attacked. I don't want to see people getting killed or massacred. But you have to stop it now.
Why did EDL members say you burn our poppies, we'll burn your mosques?
Again, they weren't EDL members. That's a Lincoln demonstration. It was nothing to do with the English Defence League. It was a separate group called East Anglian Patriots. Again, splinter groups of people.
Did you come out to condemn them?
Yes, we've kicked them out of our organisation. That's why they've got their own groups.
Right. So it's complete. But they were originally.
It's like saying it's like saying that Shia are Sunni. They're complete. And you say again, they had the one Ummah. We had, I think, 2 weeks ago, 225 people were murdered in one day in Iraq on Sunni v Shia. But no one wants to talk about that.
Tommy, can I ask you, would you stay on a bit longer with us? Because we've got so many callers, and I'm not trying to keep you in for the whole, rest of the morning.
5-star lunch.
Rest of the morning. Well, BBC lunch, you get more like 2-star, but there you go. Would you just stay on just an extra 15, 20 minutes?
Yeah, go on.
Is that okay? Yeah. Okay, right. Let's go to Umar in Birmingham. Good morning, Umar.
Hi, Nihal, you okay?
Yes, I'm very well. What would you like to ask Tommy Robinson?
I want to ask him why he isn't a racist. Why he thinks that.
Okay, all right. Okay,
well, it's quite an easy one, isn't it? Because I don't hate anyone due to the colour of their skin. What I have a problem with is an ideology. It's like saying.
Okay, let me ask you this question: you hide behind free speech, while stirring up racial tension.
Tell me what I've stirred up that's racial. Tell me how I've stirred up racial tensions.
Okay, you tell me.
No, you tell me.
Is England a religion?
No, what's that?
Is England a religion?
What are you going on about, mate?
Is England a religion? English is a religion.
No.
Language, yeah?
No.
English is a language, it's not a religion, yeah?
Oh, where are you going with this?
Look, Muslims are no more terrorists, yeah?
Yes, they are.
Catholics or Protestants, yeah? And no more paedophiles than the entire white...
Wait a minute, there are terrorists who are Muslim is not the same as Muslims are terrorists.
No, he said there's not more Muslim terrorists than other, and that's quite just a complete lie.
Every single sect.
Yeah, but the majority of the world's terrorists are Muslim.
The majority are Muslims.
The majority of the world's terrorists are Muslim. That's a fact.
Label a white person a terrorist.
You've done a comparative study of terrorist acts across the world.
There's been 21,000 deadly Islamic terrorist attacks since September 11th.
Terror. Define the word terror.
Okay, well, we can't unfortunately get into the semantics of that.
Again, I'm racist, but you can't tell me how I'm racist.
Tommy Robinson, leader of the English Defence League, is sitting in front of me, and there are a whole heap of people that want to speak to you, Tommy, this morning here on the BBC Asian Network. Ajit is one of them from Leicester. Ajit, good morning.
Hi, Neil. How are you doing?
I'm very well, mate. What would you like to ask Tommy?
My question is, he's got a problem with Muslims, Islams today. Who's next? Sikhs, Hindus?
Oh, boring. Right, I have a problem with the Islamic ideology. I have a problem with any other ideology. Are Sikhs, Hindus, Jews, are they butchering? Are they killing anyone? Are they running any grooming gangs? Are they planting bombs? Every other week are we seeing them being arrested for terrorism?
So you're against Islamic extremism?
The Islamist ideology, 7th century.
Be clear, yes. You're not against Muslims.
Taking the Quran to its literal word, yeah.
What I'm saying is, he's got an issue today with Islam, Muslims.
No.
Is he going to have a problem with Sikhs?
No, you're talking to someone who's from Luton Town here.
The problem is, though, Tommy, is that some of your supporters may just not be able to distinguish between who is who. And, of course, the worry is that there is a danger that all Muslims will be tainted with this same ideology that you hate so much. You will try, or your followers will try and taint all Muslims. And you know that not to be true, don't you?
Of course I do. If you listen to what we say, yeah, I talk about the Ahmadiyya sect, and the more I read into them and see how they're persecuted, and if we've got any Muslims on here, I'd like to ask why they're not allowed to go to Mecca. I'd like to ask why are they persecuted. I'd like to ask when there's a mosque application in the Midlands, why there's 900 people signed signatures against it, 850 of them are Muslim. So it's okay for you and members of your community not to want a mosque built because it's a different sect, but it's not okay when we're concerned about the Sharia that's being pushed through the mosques.
Why do you want to stop mosques being built?
I just don't think we should add to the problem that's in this country. I think it's going to take us 20, 30 years.
Why is mosque building?
If I finish, I think it's going to take us 20, 30 years to solve the problems that are already here. By building more mosques and having no way of... I believe they should be regulated in a similar way to schools. When you have the Ofsted reports and you have schools are regulated, I believe mosques should be. I don't believe we should have tribalistic preachers who are in a cave in Afghanistan one day and within a week they're talking and influencing the form of Islam that's going out through the mosque. I believe that it needs to be tackled.
Which particular preacher from a cave in Afghanistan are you talking about?
I'm talking about basically...
Name one.
We have every single time you look up on the East London Mosque, you see who's coming over to talk. They're all these
from a cave in Afghanistan.
Well, you get the gist. I'm saying.
Well, I don't actually, because that's actually quite extreme, isn't it? And insulting, because there are of course imams coming who have studied the Quran, who've come from Pakistan and Bangladesh, and you're absolutely right to a certain extent in that. Muslim callers to this very show have said that they would much rather have British-born imams, but of course it's not unfortunately a very well-paid job, and a lot of British Muslims are not actually flocking towards doing it.
I'm not saying ban building mosques indefinitely. What I'm saying is...
For the next 30 years?
Let's stop it until it's reformed and until it's working. Islam and Sharia is not working.
But you at one point say you're not tarring Muslims with the same brush, but then on the other hand you're saying stop building mosques until they sort their ideology out. Now surely you're not saying... Surely then you're saying, by implication, that all mosques are preaching hate.
No, I'm not, no.
So then why stop them?
I'm saying that they're all promoting Sharia law, but I'm saying we need to not add to the problem. What's the point in adding to the problem? Why are we adding to a problem that you can't even tackle already? It's already out of control. And we should not be allowing foreign bodies, as Saudi Arabia and Qatar, to fund Islamic institutions in this country.
And again, there are plenty of Muslims that have a real problem with Wahhabism.
Yeah, but there's
a real problem with Wahhabism and Salafism. They do. Let's speak to Omar Mehtab in Ilford, who got in contact with this. Omar, what would you like to ask Tommy?
Morning, Tommy. What I'd like to ask is that you seem to be disregarding everything that is, being said about you in reports and what previous recordings. What you said during the show and what I've picked up on is that you never spoke out against Islamic extremism. You said Islam. You said, and you can look past the recording, you can look back at the recording if you want. You said, I can freely think negatively about Islam.
I can if I want, yeah.
Islam. No. You said Islam.
Yeah, but even if I want to feel freely and be negative towards Islam, I can.
You're saying it.
But then is that not Islamophobic?
Well, of course it's not, because if I don't agree with Christianity...
Can we get a clearer line for Omar, actually? Because it's quite difficult to hear him.
If I'm against Scientology, no one says anything about that. Why is everyone... It's like Islam is an ideology, yeah? It's not a religion. It's got everything in it. It's an ideology that it's my God-given right.
It's a way of life for many people in this country.
And it's this country's way of life with freedom of speech for people to criticise it.
Fun fact about Islam. Islam believe in the same God as Christians and Jewish people do.
No, according to you, they do.
The same God. What's the problem then? You're saying that we have a totally different ideology to you guys.
The problem is Sharia.
That isn't true.
The problem is Sharia. The problem is extremism. The problem is the way you interpret it. The problem is Salafi. The problem is Wahhabi. The problem is terrorism. The problem is female genital mutation. The problem is all these symptoms that come from Islam. They're the problems.
Omar?
What I'm asking you, Tommy, is I'm saying that you haven't said Islamic extremism, you said Islam.
The Islamist ideology, yeah.
What you're doing is you're taking the culture that is born from the religion, unfortunately, by some misguided people, and you're painting everyone with the same brush around.
No, what I'm saying is that Islam as an ideology is not peaceful. It's not.
Why isn't it peaceful? I'm quite peaceful.
You may be peaceful, but the ideology's not.
Right, so whatever. Well, no, I live by the ideology.
No, the ideology's not peaceful.
Did not Christians spend centuries on crusades, burning and killing and maiming and pillaging?
But where does that take away from the fact that the Islam is...
Did not George W. Bush use the word crusade himself when he was going out to invade Iraq?
What I'm saying is, Muhammad was not peaceful. Muhammad was not peaceful. So it's like...
Do you know the guy? He's 1,600 years ago. Do you know the guy?
No, but I know what he did, and it wasn't peaceful.
How do you know that?
Because I read your surahs.
Knew the guy.
I read your scripture.
There are examples in the Quran, and look. I don't want to get into a Quranic discussion here because we don't have an imam here.
Yeah, all I'm saying is, but for me to say Islam's not peaceful, it's not.
Out of context, you took...
No, I'm not taking out context.
When a religion was formed and it spread... It spread
with war.
And through defence, of course, because people were attacking it. The Prophet Muhammad was attacked constantly.
Maybe he was, but
constantly.
There's no denying the fact it was spread with violence.
Or defended.
Being attacked
in order to maintain the religion and then spread. It's a proselytising religion, like your religion. Your religion, Christianity, is a proselytising.
You can't leave Islam. As an apostate of Islam is punishable by death. All these different things. It's like that. I'm not saying. I'm just pointing out a fact. It's not peaceful.
An interpretation.
No, I'm not. I'm not. I'm talking about the Prophet Muhammad. He was not a peaceful man. He was not a peaceful man.
Okay.
He's not a man of peace.
Let Omar come in. Omar?
Please, yes, thank you. Muhammad was a person who spread the religion, and during times of conflict, he fought back. Yeah, he either fought back.
He wasn't peaceful, was he?
Sorry?
He wasn't peaceful. He didn't say turn the other cheek, did he?
Peaceful, Tommy.
He didn't say turn the other cheek, did he?
Your convictions and your past, are you a peaceful person?
But there's not a religion built on me, is there? And if there was a religion built on me,
there seems to be an organisation being built around you, and I don't know if there is a cult of personality around you.
All I'm saying is Muhammad was not a peaceful man.
Okay, Omar,
that's a fact.
Omar, let's leave it there because I've got so many people to go to. Let's speak to Alan in Middlesex. Good morning, Alan.
Good morning. Morning, Tommy.
Good morning.
Morning, Tom. Listen, I watched Free Speech the other night, yeah?
Yep.
And I was disgusted by the fact that you was trying to show threats to your wife and family, and all they were rather...
Do you have a question for Tommy, Alan?
Yeah, the question is about whether he gets treated fairly when he actually gets a chance to go on a show.
Do you feel he's being treated fairly today, Alan?
No, you're not letting me talk now. He's doing the same as well.
Well, I just want you to either ask a question or...
Do I feel like I'm treated fairly? Well...
I just speak to people, yeah? When you're asked a question...
The problem in this country is, when you have that debate show the other day on such a serious issue at the moment...
Can we not discuss free speech? We're not here to discuss another BBC show.
On these serious issues about...
Okay, I'll ask a different question then. What the question is it not your wife and family's... their health and safety, is that not more important, and threats that you had in writing that you could have showed somebody, is that not important than someone going to a Bengali restaurant and saying hello in Bengali and getting free poppadoms?
Well, this is everything on that show and everything everything on that show and everything at present is what's wrong with this country. That you can't voice a concern. I went on that show to have some progressive talk and dialogue to say about these issues that need tackling.
Can we not focus on the failings of that show? I get what you're saying.
Even why I'm here now. I'm not here. Your listeners, the majority of people I want to attract are working class people. Majority of people who probably listen to this are Muslim and ringing up with things against me. I'm still here. I'm here to put away misconceptions and to have some dialogue and get these forefronts.
And are you being treated differently to how you were?
I'm fine. I'm fine with how I'm being treated. But at the same time, with the BBC and in general, there's an agenda.
Well, they're also the agenda is for you to be robustly interviewed and challenged on your views. Now, you don't have an issue with that, do you?
Well, it depends. No, not with where I'm here, but
being robustly challenged on your opinions.
No, of course, I don't know.
Well, there you go.
Not what he's talking about.
Let's speak to Sarah in Manchester. Hello, Sarah.
Hello. Hi, Tommy.
Hiya.
Salam and peace and blessings upon you, Tommy.
Salam alaikum.
Just want to put it to you, Tom, because you've got quite a few different identities. I live in Ashton-under-Lyne, and that's where some of the people who hold you in quite high esteem are doing a demo this weekend. I have evidence where I've been called the P word. I'm not allowed to say it on air. I've been threatened that I should go and commit suicide, that I should be burned alive. These are people who hold you in quite high esteem, Tommy. So what do you say to those people?
Well, the English Defence League haven't been to Ashton yet, so when have they said this to you?
This is on Saturday. I can give you the link. It's on Facebook.
On Facebook. Give over.
Okay, but Sarah's point... But, Tommy, you know what Sarah's point is that there are people who purport to idolise you and think of you as their leader, perhaps, who will, in the street, be outrageously, disgustingly racist to someone like Sarah. Now, she's not making that up.
Footage.
I'm not making it up.
So do you think she's making it up?
I can't say. To be honest, with all this, I feel that Islam plays the victim very well in this country.
No, Tommy.
Even after Woolwich, all of a sudden it's Islam that's the victim.
I pay my taxes. I've worked all my life.
And if people are talking to you in that way, it's disgusting and it's disgraceful.
You're not British. You will never be English enough because your mother is Asian. For the first time...
My mother's Irish.
59 years of my life, my mother was terrified. How do you explain that to her, Tommy? How do you explain it to me and my children who now have to change our lifestyles? When we are British, I don't wear a hijab, Tommy. There's nothing about me that's...
No one's saying anything to you if you ain't wearing a hijab.
That's how I treat people. So I'm asking you, as a fellow human being, as a brother, that's how I see you in Islam. Somebody's called...
Oh, you see me as a brother, even though I'm an infidel and a kafir.
To be burned.
I'm a kafir.
And they've called people who defended me to say this is dishonourable, what you're doing. Even normal indigenous white people are being called the C word. 4 letters, last word.
Yeah, I think we know what you mean, Sarah.
See you next Tuesday.
Yes, Sarah?
Yes.
I mean, clearly...
If that has happened, it's disgraceful. It's unacceptable.
Can you give me a guarantee that you're going to go on to Facebook? On that page, it's English Defence League, Ashton-under-Lyne. There's 1,300 people who've liked it. Can you make a statement?
It's a lot of people in a day, isn't it?
They keep asking, is Tommy the Prince going to be here? You're starting a cult, Tommy. You're starting...
No, Mohammed started a cult.
The UK. For normal people who just want to get on with their lives.
Excuse me. I've been speaking... Excuse me.
Sarah, 1 second.
I've been talking to the parents of these young children that were attacked at a bus stop. Now you being... although it is bad, to try and match the two of someone going on Facebook and calling you a CUN whatever...
Yeah, okay,
to try and match that with a 13-year-old girl screaming horrifically while she's watching and being beaten with a cricket bat for being English at a bus stop near a mosque is incomparable. So I'm sorry if I don't... whilst it is unjustified and it is wrong if people are saying those things on Facebook, your kids have not been battered at a bus stop for being non-white. Have they?
I'll tell you, Tommy, my 9-year-old son, who the school couldn't profile what ethnicity he was because he's so pale skin, was told during a football match, well, at least I'm not a Muslim.
This is the climate, though. But Tommy, I mean, you can't see this.
No, you can't blame me for that. What you have to blame is...
No one's blaming you.
You have to blame Muslims for that.
So it's a Muslim's fault.
You have to blame fellow Muslims.
It's a Muslim's fault that children are being told that their faith and that their beliefs are disgusting.
It's the way that Muslims in this country have acted. Some Muslims, that people have that opinion.
tiny, and you should condemn that, should you?
Of course I can. I always condemn it. It's like you're asking me to do something I do on a daily basis.
Paedophile, you're a rapist, you abuse children. I don't do that. I work in a predominantly white office and I have no issues. We all work as equals.
And yeah.
It never comes
Can I just...
Tommy.
Yeah, go on, Sarah.
Out when somebody is abusing, whether it's sex, rape, buggery, whatever it is, Tommy, it's got nothing to do with religion.
It does when they start calling her a dirty white pig and they refer to her as inferior, which has come out in many of these court cases. Their view of her, the reason why they had the view of her...
They're criminals.
No, the reason why they had that view of her is because she was not a Muslim.
Can you separate cultural malpractice from religious? Can you?
But I don't believe that is cultural. I believe that's religious.
You don't believe that there's a culture that perhaps suggests that in certain Asian communities, and a minority of them, that white girls are somewhat easier because they see white girls dressed in a certain way and their girls dressed in a certain way?
I believe that the religious scripture of Islam teaches that non-Muslims are inferior and the Muslims are superior, and it certainly teaches that women are worth a lot less, and especially non-Muslim women.
Did you know that it was the first religion to actually enshrine the rights of women?
Well, it's gone backwards since then.
I believe in Abraham. So why do you have to mislead the people who hold you in high...
How am I misleading? All I do is state facts.
Tommy, please, can you just promise me that you will look at this page and make a statement on it?
I promise you I'll look at that page.
Right. And you need to, it's not fair.
Can you promise me that you're going to go and find these young Muslims that have attacked our young English kids at bus stops and you're going to do something about that?
I've looked at that video and...
It's horrific, is it not?
Criminal investigation.
Is it horrific? No, actually, the police have let them off, actually. Because I spoke to the kid's dad yesterday. The police have let them off.
At the same age,
the police have let them off.
It'd be interesting to know on what basis the police
gave them a caution.
Anyway.
The police gave them a caution.
OK, all right. Sarah, we're going to have to leave it there, unfortunately. Let's speak to Azan in London. Good morning, Azan.
Morning, Nihal. Morning, Tommy.
Good morning.
What I'd like to ask is that, on the website, it pretty much summarises that the EDL are an inclusive movement dedicated to peacefully protesting against Islamic extremism. Yet the group is called the English Defence League. Do you not think it's a bit bad in that sense because you're separating English from Muslim and Islam?
Yeah, but
would you accept that someone can be Muslim and English?
Yeah.
So then why are you called the English Defence League?
Why, would you rather they were called the English Muslim Defence League?
Well, I'd rather you're called...
Or maybe you could set up your own English Muslim Defence League.
Well, there is an Islam Defence League, there's a Muslim Defence League. No one talks about them either.
Anti-Islamic Extremist League, because by saying English...
You're getting all picky with the name of the word.
But that's an interesting point, though, because if you did call it the Anti-Islamic Extremist League, then that would say to law-abiding Muslim citizens, tax-paying individuals like Azan, that you're not against him and his faith.
Azan, if you class yourself as English, you should see that the English Defence League is there to defend England. That's it. It does what it says on the tin. We're here.
Yeah, OK, but I get that, but what I'm trying to say is... I can
mate, we're going down to a name that none of this. What you have to remember is none of this was planned. This evolved and it snowballed out of control in the early days.
So you're clearly against anybody who's non-English.
No, that doesn't say that at all. How'd you get? My mum's Irish. My mum's Irish. My mother is Irish.
Plan it, but what I'm trying to say is I don't really understand because. Why is it called the English Defence League if you're against Islamic extremism? Why must nationality be separated from religion?
You're picking up on a name here. We was called the United People of Luton when this first formed. And then it just went boom across the whole country.
The thing is, the name is important because that name then reflects in your marches. You've got English flags going out, you've got...
Of course we've got English flags going out. We love England.
Azan, would you be comfortable going on an English Defence League march?
Well, from the area that I come from, Dagenham, I've had marches come near my house, and they've beaten up a Muslim guy near my house.
No, actually, he spat in a woman's face. I was there. He come out and he spat in an English woman's face.
Okay, well then, okay, fine.
I was there.
It's wrong.
I was there.
Then is the response then immediately to beat the crap out of him?
I'm sorry, if someone spits in my wife's face, yes, it would be.
Is that a fair response?
Well, is it a fair response to spit in someone's face?
Azan, to be fair, if someone spat in your mum's face, for instance, you probably wouldn't go, that's frightfully bad show.
Why did he spit in her face? Why did he spit in her face?
But Azan, can I ask you, Azan, what was the atmosphere like where you lived when the EDL marched through that area?
It was quite scary because they marched past my house and then they went to a sort of bar near there and they camped outside. They were obviously chanting EDL. And look, I've got no problem with this ideas of nationalism and in that sense I would classify myself as quite nationalistic and quite really proud to be British. I'm proud for what Britain has stood for.
Good on you.
Those kind of things. And it's wrong that certain groups are trying to come in and they're trying to enshrine their laws in their own religious laws. I'm against religious laws. But by calling yourself the English Defence League, you're separating Islam from England, and that demonises so many Muslims who are also proud to be British.
Well, I don't see how... we have Abdul, yeah? Abdul's proud to be British. He comes to every one of our demonstrations. He's been up on stage. He gives speeches. He talks. He says, I love my country. I love my queen. I love everything about it.
Does he say, I love my faith?
He does. He says he's there to defend Islam.
Right, okay.
You can get his... Go on YouTube.
So then how does he react to the things that you say about the Prophet, Muhammad, someone he loves more than he loves his own family?
Yeah. I understand as well, yeah, which is where we are.
What does he say to that?
He doesn't view the Prophet Muhammad's teachings in that way. But then that's fine, and it's great that he doesn't. But what he has to realise...
Well, he's a Muslim. He should probably know more than you. Then.
Yeah, but what he has to realise is there's a lot of Muslims that use what the Prophet Muhammad done to incite violence, and they use his teachings for violence. So when I have a Muslim, I think, that's brilliant. Yeah, great that you think that way, but you have to accept all these millions that don't think that way, and that are using his teachings to incite violence and hatred and intolerance and breed intolerance. And Abdul's at every one of our demonstrations. He's treated like an absolute legend because people love the fact that he's coming out as a Muslim, proud to be English, proud to be British, and he's there, well, he's Scottish actually, but proud to come and represent and stand there. And he's there to put away misconceptions as well.
Okay,
and he's hated by Muslims. They all want to kill him.
Okay, let's speak to Nick in Nottingham lastly. Nick, good morning to you.
Good morning, gents. How are you doing?
I'm very well, mate. What would you like to ask Tommy?
Tommy, I'm glad you've raised the issue of working class. I'm working class. I'm white. I guess you could say, on appearance, I look like white Anglo-Saxon Protestant. I don't actually feel that you represent me. So how many of the working classes do you feel you represent?
I feel I represent the vast majority of working class people who live in towns and cities that are plagued with problems to do with militant Islam. I understand that some working class people who live in an area that is predominantly white and they haven't experienced any of these issues or problems and don't understand what I'm talking about. But everyone who lives in towns and cities, Oldhams, the Bradfords, the Birminghams, the Lutons, the East Londons, all these different areas, get it. They get what I'm saying. It's like when I walk through Luton, I know the feeling I get because I can't walk in one place. If I walk into a pub in anywhere in my town, the whole pub will shake my hand and come over and thank me for what I'm doing. If I didn't get that feeling, when I walk through, the majority of people who shake my hand in Luton are actually black, saying thank you, man. The women coming up to me, thank you. The Christian women coming up to me, thank you for making a stand. So if I didn't get that feeling, I wouldn't feel like I represent the vast majority of people. But I know the vast majority of people support us in what we're saying.
Can I just say, we just looked on the website of the Luton Islamic Centre and we didn't find anything that said gays should be killed.
Well, I've got
not a single line.
We've got look at the
website now. Yeah, but it's not on their website
now because they've took the article down. I'll provide.
Wait a minute, was it an article or was it something that was endorsed by the Islamic Centre?
It's an article that they put on their website. There was 12 pages of statement as to why a woman should be lashed.
It's not on there.
I've got it. I'll send you it. And when I send you it, will you read out what they said on it?
And
if they read it out on there.
And now that it's not on, now that it's not on there, do you applaud them for taking it off?
For hiding it.
For taking it down?
For hiding the views.
Well, you want Muslims to change. When they do, you then make out that it's like that they're not doing it right.
Quilliam Foundation Quilliam Foundation named loads of mosques, Green Lane Mosque, East London Mosque, as having the same views as Al Qaeda, but different routes of getting there.
So they named 2 mosques, and how many mosques are there in this country?
They named 500 mosques, actually.
What, that are all extreme?
In a government leaked, that are extreme, and the Islamic Centre was one of them.
But it seems as though this morning, every time an example of Muslims trying to change or trying to do something different or trying to prove extremism, you then say, oh, they're doing it because of this, because you're not allowing Muslims to change. You don't want them to change, do you?
That's been taken down. Yes, of course I do. That's been taken down.
Well, when they do, then applaud it.
It's because we've highlighted it. What, for taking down... Imagine the English Defence League had an article on website saying kill people. Imagine it did. Now, we don't have a manifesto yet, but...
Do you go through, English Defence League,
on our
Facebook groups, challenging people who say Islamophobic things?
I actually don't go on Facebook.
Well, you love a bit of Twitter.
Yeah, I do. You see the threats are going to Twitter. Everyone can see it. It's there for everyone to see.
Yeah, you retweet them.
Yeah.
I just want to ask you very quickly, because I know you have to go... when the Islamic Centre in North London was destroyed by fire, and a spokesman said that the letters EDL were sprayed onto the building, your reaction was to say what exactly?
That in Luton, my hometown, there was 26 fire bombings. They went on for a period of 12 months. Council offices were attacked, and the same yellow spray paint sprayed EDL on cars, on houses, everywhere. The local Islamic leader, imam, stood on local TV and said these are Islamophobic attacks. Our women are scared. Their hijabs are getting taken off. They're getting spat. All this for 12 months, yeah? When the police made arrests for these instances of spraying EDL, they arrested Muslims. Okay. Now, did the police go to press with that? The best the police done to explain this in the press was that this was categorically not in any way linked to anyone. So
you're saying that Somalis burnt their own building?
What I'm saying is, I'm looking at previous and I'm very sceptical that there was no CCTV, that there's no photographic evidence of the letters EDL on the burned wall. I'm very sceptical after hearing. It tends
to be difficult once it's burnt down.
Precisely. So how do they know there was EDL on it? If it's difficult once it's burned down.
Well, they may have seen it, and then it started burning down, perhaps.
No.
So, okay, you refuse to believe that EDL
I refuse to believe that anyone from the English... It's like if I spray Peter Pan on a wall, it don't mean Peter Pan done it. And it's like burgling a house and on the way out sticking your fingerprint on the window. And it come at a time after just a day after David Cameron said he's going to tackle the EDL. If you ask me, it's very opportunistic. I think the majority of people in this country have seen that for exactly what it is. If counter-terrorism are investigating that, they'll find out who's done it if it's a non-Muslim, won't they? So, and have you heard anything else about that Muswell Hill fire since that day?
Well, it only happened a little while ago. It does take a while to go into an investigation.
It takes a while usually for things to get rebuilt, but 24 hours, bang, it's all up there. Scaffold, everything. State-of-the-art, brand new Islamic centre.
Can I ask you, because you're a father like I am, Tommy, how are you bringing up your children to think of multiculturalism and belief in other religions and respect for other religions?
My children don't even know what the EDL is.
How old are your kids now?
5, 4 and 2.
Right, so they are very, very young.
I want to shelter them from it as much as I can.
What would you tell them that the EDL stands for?
It stands for their freedom.
From?
Domination, subjugation, Sharia.
What will you tell them about Islam?
To be honest, the facts of Islam, the facts of it, it's not peaceful.
So you'll teach them to be brought up, so your children will be brought up thinking of Muslims as violent?
No, they won't, no. I looked at that. When my friend brought his children to my christening... Your
Muslim friend?
Yeah. He brought his 3 children to my kids' christening. And I looked at my kids with his kids and I thought, you know what? And I questioned myself because I thought, I don't want to actually break those bridges looking at the children together. Yeah. But at the same time, I want to protect the future. Yeah, so it's a difficult decision for me. At the same time, I haven't taught my kids one thing. My kids won't even know what a Muslim is. You say Muslim, they won't understand any of that.
No, quite at that age. Similar age to my own.
To be honest, I'm not going to force my views at all on my children. Yeah?
But you are
They can educate it. They can be educated in a way where when they get to a certain age and they start learning, because what we're being taught in the schools, what the schools are teaching about the Islamic history is not the truth. You're not telling the truth. You're not talking about Muhammad's war past. You're not talking about that he killed. You're not.
I wasn't aware that much Islamic history was taught in British schools in the curriculum.
Yeah, so all children.
I want to get back because there's a little bit of a contradiction there.
All children visit the mosque
because you are saying that you will tell your children that Muslims base their faith on a violent ideology. So you will lead your children to believe growing up that Muslims are fundamentally violent.
No, I'm not going to hide the truth from my children.
That's what you're going to tell them.
The way this government want to hide the truth, I won't hide the truth.
So all white British parents should be telling their kids that Muslims are violent?
No, all British people in this country should be told the truth about Islam. That's the fact of it. Stop trying to hide it and paint it and brush it up in a different way that it is. The Islamic ideology, people should know they understand the truth.
Well, there are violent tracts in the Bible, aren't there? You're going to tell them that the church is that the Christian church is based on violence and crusading, and you're going to tell your kids that as well?
No.
Are you going to not tell your children that the vast majority of British Muslims are integrated, they pay their taxes, they're law-abiding?
Yeah, of course I'll tell my children that.
At the same time as telling them that actually, though, what they believe is violence?
The Islamic ideology is violent. It's not a lie.
But how do you separate the two?
What do you want me to do? Lie to my kids?
But how do you separate the two?
Shall I lie to my kids?
Yeah, but you're kind of
shall I lie to my kids?
Missing the point.
What you're missing the point is, shall I lie to my kids? Why should I? Why should I lie? Because
it may well be a lie because of course you're not going to contextualise it in history and when Islam was created and how it was created and how it was spread.
William Gladstone, our previous Prime Minister, he said he said there will never be peace on this earth so long as we have the Quran. It is a violent and accursed book. Winston Churchill said Islam in a man is like rabies in a dog. Yeah, so
which is hugely offensive.
No,
it's a disgusting thing. So will you tell your kids that?
No, what I will.
What are your kids going to be brought up to think of?
Our previous prime ministers have not lied to us.
So your Muslim friends, then you're going to make sure that your kids have nothing to do with them.
No, I'm not.
And are you going to make sure you have nothing? Why do you have Muslim friends when you believe that what they believe is fundamentally violent? How can you have friends like that? I wouldn't have friends like that.
No,
if I thought one of my friends walks around headbutting people for a fun, I wouldn't have him in my house.
I don't believe they're taking it to
let alone
that
my kids'
I don't believe
prison.
I'm not stupid. I know not every Muslim's violent. I know not every. Most of the Muslim friends I know
But
don't
you're saying
go
they
mosque
are
fighting,
potentially.
I'm saying potentially if they follow the Quran to the word, to the literal word, yes, it is violent.
Tommy Robinson, thank you very much for joining us on the BBC Asian.